Welcome back to the Hurry Up Offense, fantasy football news and advice for Week 14 of the NFL fantasy football season in about 10 minutes or so. I am Smokey Rameriz, your fantasy football pro. Let's go. Today's topic, we are talking about playoff matchup, player-specific playoff matchup, who you should be playing, and who you might want to look at leaving out of your lineup. But first, let's get into the news. Oh, the Wednesday night news dump. It turns out that Dalvin Cook is back in practice. He was listed as a limited participant in Tuesday's practice. It is unclear exactly how much he did, and we'd still be shocked if he played this week. I'm reading this verbatim, by the way. Yeah, I don't expect to have Dalvin Cook. No, you're not going to drop him unless your playoffs are extremely early and coming down to next week or something. And I would hold out for next week. I couldn't drop Dalvin Cook. I got to have him. And if you're lucky enough that your playoffs start next week or the week after, you're definitely holding on to Dalvin Cook. He's going to be there for you. He should be playing by then. You'll be good to go. Alvin Kamara is expected to be back this week for Week 14 on Sunday playing the Jets. Now, it is possible that he could be limited in some sort of fashion first coming back off this injury, but he is playing against the last ranked run defense in the entire league. So even if he is cut down, if he's missing just a little work, it's going to make up for it in the effectiveness of this offense and his abilities. This is Alvin Kamara we are speaking about, so I would play him if I have him. Logan Thomas just came off of the IR, played a little bit, and he's headed back to the IR. He is, as a matter of fact, done for the season. This knee injury is too severe. He's not coming back. It doesn't look good considering where he is in his career. He's not young. He is 30 years old. So it's kind of up in the air whether or not he'll actually be productive ever again in the NFL. So if you have him on your dynasty team, if you think you can get rid of him this offseason, you probably should. Elijah Moore is day-to-day with a quad injury right now. This guy is actually in the midst of a rookie season breakout. He is number 2 for fantasy wideouts over the past 5 weeks. The guy is doing really good for a rookie, and it's par for the course, of course, but he's on a really bad team. Elijah Moore is going to be great in the future. Keep an eye on him this week. You might not have him. And more Jets news. Tevin Coleman is in the concussion protocol. Man, I hope you weren't depending on Tevin Coleman. I hope you're not depending on any parts other than Elijah Moore out of this Jets offense. Although the quarterback was looking decent last week. Maybe he improves. But as far as Tevin Coleman goes, yeah, you're probably not going to have him, and I hope you didn't need him because you're way down the ranks if you need him. It's probably a deep league, right? Yeah, you're in a deep league. Don't look for him this week. He's in the concussion protocol. Joe Burrow says his pinky finger feels better, so maybe he can complete some passes. Let's see if he gets back on pace to where he was earlier in the season, because these last few stretch of games here has not looked good. Joe Burrow has not looked like the Heisman winner lately. But at the first of the season, he was on fire. Let's see if Joe can get back to that point. Speaking of getting back on pace, Justin Fields is cleared to return to action. And I'm kind of excited. I like Justin Fields. I've made no doubts about that whatsoever. I like Justin Fields. He should be a really good quarterback. This is not just hometown stuff speaking here. This is hometown stuff speaking here. It's actually what it is. I like Justin Fields, though. He is a great quarterback. At least a college quarterback. He was great in high school. He should be in line for a breakout here. If not for the rest of this season, at least when he gets out from under Matt Nagy. But I think he should do okay in terms of getting you fantasy points off of the waiver wire at the quarterback position for this week and through the rest of the playoffs. Mark Ingram is now in the COVID protocol. Wow. Alvin Kamara is getting back just in time. This comes as a shock, but luckily it is slated that Alvin Kamara will be returning. For the Saints, that is. But if your fantasy team was depending on him, you were about to lose a ton of production anyway with Kamara coming back. So, you understand. Back to the Viking news. Adam Thielen is out for the week, so look for Tyler Conklin to get an uptick. And Justin Jefferson's a beast anyway, so it really doesn't matter. He's going to ball out no matter who's out on the field with him. But I think this helps out Conklin a little bit. And now it's being reported that Dalvin Cook, as I mentioned earlier, may actually be on the field. Who knows? It's up in the air at this moment. And more tough Ezekiel Elliot news. Or maybe this is good news, depending on how you look at it. But it's coming out of Cowboys camp right now that Ezekiel Elliot is expected to be 100% in 3 to 4 weeks. Not this coming up week. So this is still going to be a Zeke, Tony Pollard timeshare for the time being. And hopefully just about the time to miss your fantasy playoffs, Zeke will be back to 100% and getting all the carries again. That's life, bro. That's life. Over in the Chargers camp, Mike Williams lands on the COVID list. He is in the COVID, almost said concussion protocol. He's on the COVID protocol right now. Now, we heard about Keenan Allen earlier in the week being in the COVID protocol, and now Mike Williams is joining him. I don't know who's going to catch passes out there. Somebody's got to. Donald Parham. Nobody's playing Donald Parham. But this actually might be good for him. He might actually get an uptick here. Who knows? It's probably worse for Justin Herbert more than anyone. But there is a possibility that Keenan Allen, since he is vaccinated, that he could get back in time for the game. So keep an eye on that. Last but not least this week out of 49ers camp, Elijah Mitchell has a knee irritation now. This is what it says. Verbatim. ESPN's Adam Schefter that 49ers RB, this is actually how it's written, that 49ers RB Elijah Mitchell had an MRI that showed knee irritation, in the words of H.C. Kyle Shanahan. That's how it's written. I didn't know you could see irritation on an MRI. You could see inflammation, right? I don't know. I'm not a medical doctor. But irritation is a feeling. Inflammation is a physical thing. I don't know. But apparently, they saw irritation on the MRI. Maybe if you're a doctor, you can help me out here. But that doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, Elijah Mitchell was already in the concussion protocol. So this adds another layer of stink on top of the pile. And you probably won't see him this week. I doubt it at this point. That's it for the news this week. Let's get on to the game theory portion of the show. For the majority of the fantasy football world, you are either headed into your playoffs right now, you are headed into them next week or the week after, depending on if you guys do 2-week playoffs, which I prefer. I prefer the 2-week method because it actually lends way to the better team overall winning. Now, this is kind of off script for today, but I do want to say that 2-week scenarios for the playoffs actually means that the better team wins more often than not, and not some fluky win by a worse team that just happened to get lucky on 1 week. 2-week scenarios, that is the best form. Fantasy league managers, remember that. I gotta do this real quick because I'm running out of time, but Javonte Williams has one of the best offensive versus defensive matchups for your fantasy playoff. The only snag in that is going to be Melvin Gordon and when he comes back, but Javonte Williams is a superstar and is set up very well to win your team a fantasy championship. David Montgomery, his schedule is looking nice. Maybe surprisingly, Terry McLaurin coming off of a bad week, but remember, Logan Thomas is going to be out, and he is facing some horrible defenses coming up. The wide receiver duo of A.J. Brown and Julio Jones, and or either one or both of them, have phenomenal defensive matchups. DeAndre Swift, if he is fully healthy, he is going to light it up for your fantasy playoffs. Phenomenal matchups. You want some quarterbacks? How about Jimmy Garoppolo and or if only Trey Lance is or is not in there? Because if Trey Lance comes in, that right there with his schedule could be a league winner. Deebo Samuel and or Brandon Ayuk. One's out, target the other. Hunter Renfrow. Don't forget about this guy. And let's finish it off with a few defenses. The Seattle Seahawks. The New Orleans Saints. Believe it or not, the Jacksonville Jaguars have an awesome schedule to end out the year. And what I expect to truly be a league winner is the Miami Dolphins. Now, I hope that I gave you a lot of targets that you wouldn't usually think. I didn't just go through a bunch of superstars and say, yeah, trust this guy. You got to trust Travis Kelce. You got to trust Patrick Mahomes. Which, even Patrick Mahomes I wouldn't do this year. But Aaron Rodgers, you know, all this stuff. I wanted to give you options that you are thinking about not playing that actually have a very high chance of winning you a league. League winners are amazing if you have them in your lineup. And this actually gets you to the promised land. Guys, listen to what I'm saying. If you were thinking about not playing these guys, stop. These are league winners. That's it for this week. Please subscribe to the Beyond Football channel, and if you want to watch Alex and I, or listen to us actually, I always say that, but if you want to listen to Alex and I break down every game every week and give our predictions for the winners of each game, check out the scoreboard. It comes out every Thursday just before this one comes out. So if you're listening to this right now, it's already up on the channel. Just go check it out, the scoreboard. That's it for me this week. I am Smokey Rameriz, your fantasy football pro. I'll see you next week. Deuces.